Well, as you may have heard, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates for the first time since December. It's expected to make more cuts before the end of the year as well.
Yeah, this comes as threats of a recession loom, and while we face a tough job market and inflation, all of that can build a lot of fear when it comes to money. So this morning, we're talking with Farnoosh Torabi. She's a financial expert, host of the So Money podcast as well, and the author of the book, A Healthy State of Panic. Farnoosh, welcome to New York City. Welcome to New York Living. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
So it's kind of an interesting question, right? It's an uncertain time.
Yes.
But even when it's not an uncertain time, I think people find money challenging. I think they find it fearful. What are folks so afraid of when we talk about money?
Oh my gosh, the list is so long because look, money is not just about dollars and cents. It brings up emotions. It brings up our relationships with our parents, our partners, and we also have a scarcity mindset. Many of us, this fear, especially right now, that what if I lose my job and I can't afford my basics? What if I run out of money? And so it is never really about the money, right? It's about all these other external factors.
So why is fear, a little bit of fear, a good thing when it comes to money?
I mean, besides the fact that I have a whole book on it, and that's why it's a good thing. I grew up terrified as a little girl. I mean, I was the daughter of immigrants, and money was scarce in our household. But over time, I learned to have a good relationship with fear. Our culture tends to say be fearless, but I say fear is actually a signal. It's a friend. It's an internal emotional signal that's saying, hey, take a moment and examine what you're about to do, because the reason you're scared is maybe because it's important. The stakes are high. You want to make sure you're making a conscious, self-aligned decision.
Yeah, I think I've heard you say that a lot of our fears come from a dated mindset, like stuff that's out of date. How do we know when a fear is based on something that we shouldn't be listening to, or when it's something that's a red flag we gotta hear?
Right. I often say when you're afraid of something, say, is this my mother's fear or is it my fear?
So good.
Right. So often we talked about scarcity mindset. Often that is rooted in childhood because we watched our parents struggle. Maybe they went through bankruptcy, or they had a lot of debt, or they argued about money. Well, those experiences travel with us into adulthood. And so our reality, though, you gotta have a reality check. Is this really my reality? Often I'll say, well, what do you have in savings? How secure is your job? And if those things seem calm and taken care of, then you can release that fear.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on right now. Obviously, we have a tough job market, there's inflation, a whole bunch, possible threat of recession. So how do we engage in that fear in a healthy way?
So if the fear is making you stuck, and which is common, often we have that fear of we freeze, we flee. So that's not good. What we want to do is use the fear to take action, healthy action. And sometimes that starts with just asking questions. If I'm afraid of losing my job, well, do I have enough in savings? If I lose my job, go to the dark place, I always say. Then, try to course correct now. Learn about your unemployment benefits. Learn about what would happen to your health insurance. Create a plan now so that you're ready when uncertainty strikes. And I always say it's really about having an inquiry-based relationship with fear as opposed to ignoring it. Just this is very simple. Just ask the fear, why are you here? What are you trying to help me figure out? And sometimes it's just we need to figure out some information. So everyone can do that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of planning for the worst case scenario. I don't mean dwelling in it, living it, but saying, okay, let's say I did lose my job. Let's say, what would my steps be? Because I feel like if you already have those in mind, I feel like action is the antidote to anxiety.
Yes,
right?
100%.
The doing.
100%. And I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs on my podcast, and we have this idea that entrepreneurs are fearless, that they take risks blind. But the truth is they are very aware of risk. They're very in tune to their fears. And like you said, they risk adjust ahead of time. They figure out what is that worst case scenario, and they create a plan now to help them. And I'm not saying it won't be I'm not saying it'll be perfect or everything will go your way, but at least you'll be prepared.
Yeah. So let's talk about investing. Of course, right now you have a lot of anxiety and fear surrounding money. You're putting it into something you don't know what's going to happen, right? So how do you kind of deal with all of those emotions?
So I just want to normalize the fear first, because a lot of us are afraid. It's high stakes, of course. You're putting your money into an uncertain machine system, and we need money. I think that's most of us. And so what I would say is, again, with that inquiry-based approach, what am I missing to know, to make me feel more comfortable about investing. I often tell people, did you know recessions happen, but they're few and far in between, and we actually have more growth in the stock market than we have contraction. Sometimes that just helps people feel more calm. And know that investing is a long-term approach. We're not looking to make money overnight. This isn't a gamble. You're not going to the casino. You're investing consistently over a long period of time, and those who stuck with the market when it was contracting were the ones who won ultimately because they rode the wave up.
Yeah. I would say it's not timing the market, it's time in the market, right?
Yes.
Spend that time. Farnoosh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So good to talk to you. Hey,
Thank you.
Listen, if you want more info, if you're afraid that you don't have the info you need, if that's a fear, well, we can help with that. Pick up Farnoosh's book, A Healthy State of Panic, wherever books are sold.